Peter Chang here for Macho Cave TV, and currently we're at part 15 of our SCX-60 CF build, and in this part of the build we're going to tackle the rear CVAs, and what you're seeing here is the rear CVA parts that I've purchased on eBay. These belong to a factory team SC10 vehicle, and pretty much it's kind of nice to get these parts on eBay because what a lot of vendors do is they buy the original kit, then they end up just splitting it up into various parts and pieces. So here we see I have the rear spacer, and the reason why I like to purchase these kits on eBay is because just because of the relative cost savings. When you're comparing this to, like, if you're just buying everything part for part, the ball bearings alone would set you back about $5 to $10. So just so you're aware, you could actually, once again, you could actually use your donor SC10 if you're building it from a donor car. You wouldn't have to scrounge around for parts, but just showing you that if you're building it like I am building it, you will need to get some of these extra parts. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and put in these ball bearings into this outer drive hub, and we're going to need 2 ball bearings. So we'll get it on the, I'm going to actually put in the spacer here. Doesn't look like it's fitting too snug, but it should work out okay. I'm going to put in that second set of ball bearings in there. And that is looking good. Everything is fitting pretty well. Once again, just tapping it to make sure that the spacer isn't moving too much. And that is looking great. Okay, I got to get this bag open here. We have more ball bearings. I'm just going to put 2 into the other outer hub wheel here. So we have the left and right hub wheels. And interesting thing to note is that when you're actually building this out, we would actually switch the right and left out drives so that for fitment reasons the ball studs would actually line up. You could actually run it the other way around. You could actually run it, like left side is on left side and right side is on right side, but you're going to find that you might have to lengthen out the ball studs to make them fit. So just so you know, just go ahead and swap them when you put them on there. Here we have the out drives, and we also have some factory team components. If you're actually running this without the 12mm hex adapters, you would actually use all the parts in this bag. But we're going to actually use the 12mm hex adapters, so we won't be using the extra parts, or these actual blue discs that you see there. So those are actually, if we're going to be running the stock configuration. And I really love the look of this part, so just kind of it's kind of too bad I can't use that. It just looks so good. And there's a lot of small parts in this bag. These are actually parts to hook into the CVAs. And check this out. We're going to grab this dog bone here. And the way CVAs work is that we actually put in a hinge pin here. And then the hinge pin would actually be connected to a spring, and then that spring is actually locked into the CVA and the outer hinge pin drive there. And what's nice about the CVA setup is that nothing pops out when you're racing. Everything just stays relatively in place. The bad thing is that the CVAs could wear out if you don't have enough grease in there. So I'm just going to use some black grease to grease up everything to make sure that everything is all well and set. And I kind of apologize, it's a little bit out of frame and a little out of focus. The camera is just a little bit out of the depth of field zone, but I'm just going to try to bring it back up here to show you. And pretty much you could actually put in too much black grease in here and it gets too messy. So here I am just going to drop in this outer hinge pin, trying to get this component to fit in here so you can see. And that looks like it should be lining up there. And just trying to get this outer hinge pin just kind of, or not outer hinge pin, but this inner hinge pin, just trying to get this more centered in there so that when I pop it into the outer drive, everything could line up. And it's just taken me a little while to get that straightened out. And just trying to make sure everything is fitting okay. So, and I'm just gonna just try to center it a little bit. And I apologize, once again, it's a little out of frame. I'm just trying to center it a little bit better before I try to pop it into the outer drive. And when you're working with smaller parts, you just need to be more patient. So just to show you that this is the spring, so I'm just gonna wrap it around there, and this is why that centering is so important. Is we're just trying to get that centered up. There we go, got that in. And now I'm just going to pop it into the outer drive, try to lock it in. And that is locked in. Now I'm just going to try to push this in. And everything wants to pop out at this point. So remember, just when things don't quite line up or fit in correctly, it could be kind of frustrating. Be a little bit more patient, and you should be able to get everything in. All right, let's try to get this a little bit better centered here. Pop that in. This time I'm just going to pop in the outer hinge pin into everything. There's like a little slot in there that the CVA could go through there. And there we are. That is looking pretty good. Everything is kind of sticking. So now I'm just going to drop in that locking part, and here we go. Here, hopefully everything locks in. There we are. And that is how you build a CVA. All right, one side is done. Everything's looking good. Also make sure that when you drop in this outer part that it's 90 perpendicular or 90 degrees to the slit where everything could fall out. So you just want to keep everything at a 90-degree angle. So I'm pretty happy I got one side done. And now I'm just going to finish off the other side. So once again, you just bring it up. Let's pull that side. And second time should be easier because we've gone through the torment of finishing out one side. So once you get one end in, the second part should go in much quicker and much easier. There we go. Just slide that joint in. And that looks like it's fitting pretty well. And slide in that locking component. And that is fitting pretty well. Sorry about it being out of focus here. I get so excited about building it, sometimes I forget about going back and checking the camera to make sure it's focused. There we are. That is looking pretty good. That's awesome. We got that part in. Next step. It's that center pin in there, so we got to make sure that we get this this locking hinge in there and into the rear axle. So there's actually a small hinge pin that fits inside the rear side of the axle, and this is kind of difficult to lock in. And we're just going to go ahead and just try our best to get this component in. There we go. That seems to be threading through. There's actually a little spacer threading in first before I put in the hinge pin. These are the factory team ones. So we're not going to be using that in this part of the kit, but just so you know, like if I wasn't running the hex wheels, these would actually go on right in there. So just showing you how that would look, and then you would just thread in the hinge pin brace right behind it. So, and then because I'm running the 12mm hex, I just put in the hex adapter in there, and then I'm all set. Thanks for watching, and remember, everything matters.